Welcome to the High-Tech Investments News Report for Week 20. The news report covers some of the many investments projects High-Tech Investments is currently involved in so you can follow our progress. We hope you will enjoy this news feed and look forward to your comments and remarks.
Hi, Bo here and welcome back to this week's news report. We are now at week 20 of 2024. We are in the middle of May and there's quite a few things that are still happening here for the month of May. First of all, we want to know and try to explain to you what is actually happening with the two new pruning options that expert Forex had promised us. This has now been a couple of weeks and we're going to have a closer look at and see exactly when this is coming, if it's coming, what is going on at the moment. And the second part that we're also going to cover in this particular video here is we're going to have a closer look and see what on earth is actually happening with the Swiss francs at the moment. So, and exactly what that means for all our EAs. We can see that in the past week or two here, there has been some impacts on the movements on the Swiss franc. And if you have a look on the chart itself, this one here is the Aussie Swiss francs. Recently, there has been a move of about 350 pips. So this started back in mid-April. So pretty much for the past month, this is what we have seen. Basically, the Aussie, in this particular case here, the Aussie has gotten stronger against the Swiss franc. And that is actually then turned weaker. Obviously, this is a very, very big move. For this particular kind of currency, started off with a really, really big drop. And then a recovery phase after that, and now has completely changed the direction of trading in here. But we're going to start in a different place. Actually, we're going to skip the yield notes part this time around because there's no news coming out from Steve or Urz. I did mention in the last video here that there was some videos, but then again, there's not really any particular details. So we're going straight to the SAP coin this particular time around. It is very much sideways. The red circle is where we left it last week, and since then trading has been quite low and ended up pretty much in the same place as we left it last week. And that's also why we are doing the staking in here. But unfortunately also last week we mentioned we had two coming in. You can see them here on the 7th and on the 9th of May. And it looked like May was going to be a really good one, but so far no new transactions for this particular week. Everything is pretty much status quo for now. And the same also goes for the PNY. Also the last staking that came in on the 27th and 30th of April. Since then no transaction has been done. Things are operating as they should, but obviously again, as I said before, this has been very erratic. We also see some erratic movements on the Bitcoin versus USDT. And in here we left it somewhere around the just below 61,000 mark. And you saw in the previous week it was down to $60,187. Since then things have been actually going upwards pretty well. Ended up at $67,451 here at the height of last week. And it's currently trading around $67,000. So again, very good news for the ones that are holding on to the Bitcoin at the moment. Not so much news on the Trillant platform. The only thing that is actually new here is just some information for the stores operators to set inactive if Trill cannot be accepted. And recently described here, they have noticed that some stores are currently not accepting payment in Trill. And then we'd just like to emphasize that it's important to update the store settings within there to avoid misunderstandings and confusion for the customers. So definitely something to be aware of if you are trading with Trill on some of the Trillion platforms in here. Let's have a look at the TWI coin, see how that has developed. It has not gone the way that Bitcoin did. Last week we left it at 0.0001391. Since then, price has gone up slightly to 0.0001434, but it has moved in a very small band again. There's no real progress on the value of the TWI coin here at the moment. It's still way too low for us to be excited about at this point. Money 3, not much excitement is actually happening here either. All of them is doing okay, so that means they are doing $33 for the low risk and 0.6% for the week of week 20. Medium risk is $14 or 0.3%, and high risk one made $36 0.9%. So all of them again, not really scraping in a lot of money at the moment. It has also been a very strange week again here, so where things have gone not the way that our EAs certainly would like, and that goes for the money tree and all the other ones we are going through. You will also see here that this is the medium link. The medium link is the one that actually works best with the money tree, and you can see it's also started off with the $5,000. Now our balance is 6,417, so is the equity, so they are running at the same point. Total return is 28%, and obviously we have traded this one for more than a year, so 28% is actually not that much, but we had to go through a couple of range of adjustments. We left it on the same account, so you could just have a look and see our entire history and what actually happened, but looks pretty good for now. Now we are still telling everybody that the profit retriever trading, so it has been approved. We've been very happy with it for the last 2 years, but all the copy links and everything else is for the month of May being closed down. So that means that every single time the profit retriever cashes in now, the robot won't start up again. Just to be aware for all the copy link services that goes together with Expert Forex, and Expert Forex has obviously also been made aware of this long time ago by now, just to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the signals. We just want to spend our time and energy on some of the new EAs instead. Profit Retriever was great, it did extremely well, and it was the basically first generation of this profit retrieval part that has now spilled over into the RSI, the Wave, and the RSI Liberator versions. Obviously, you also have the copy link trading here. For that, we still have plenty of signals for the same ones on the Liberty version that I told you, and they are also here for the Trade Explorer. Trade Explorer also a bit low on the profit this week. The 22 pairs only did $59, or 0.3%. For week 20, and the 10 pair one slightly better, which it normally always does, $128 or 0.4%. So let's have a look at the numbers for the Trade Explorer. Again, we now have a history of 1 year, 368 days. Profit factor, as you can see in here, monthly return 6.6%, and this is again down to the fact that we are not changing the lot size, even though we are making a lot of money on this particular one. So over time, it looks like the monthly return is actually going down. You can see the 22 pair in here is doing somewhere around the 22 pairs, and then about 9.5%. If we have a look at the weekly ones, you can see the past couple of weeks has not been very good for the Trade Explorer either. Also running the grid system in here, $60 last week and now $59 for this particular week. So it's not really something to cheer too much about. And if we have a look also just to see what are the balance and equities at the moment, there's a small difference of $815 that we currently have in minus. And you can see that the balance is the blue one, and then the equity curve is the red one. You can see we had some bumps along the way. Since then, they have been pretty much ironed out, not too bad. Close profits over 12,000. And as you can see also here, total return 113%. And if you divide that over the 12 months that this EA has now been running, then you get in the area of 9.5%. So pretty damn good with very low drawdowns most of the time. Also the range of pips, 8,688, trades per day 19, and as we mentioned, the history here looks pretty good. If we go on also for the 10 pair one, again these numbers on the top still very low, history also 1 year. And if we have a look down to see how well it has done, also here we are below $128 for this particular week. You can see 143 last. So we have to get quite far back to see something similar. There's one 136. Very difficult to see anything lower on this particular one here. So definitely not a good week for the Trade Explorer overall. Also here, we're going to have a look at the balance and equity. You will notice here that this one has floating minus only at 398. So actually looks better than the 22 pair. And then total return for this particular year, 186%. And that is more equivalent to where we want to be, about 15%. Monthly returns, again, as we say, this particular one here is not really up to par, but that is quite normal for FX Blue. You have to go and calculate these manually if you want them exact and correct. So let's jump on to the Wave Liberator, and for this particular week here, we are also low on that one. The US Swiss francs had actually also had some movement similar to what you saw in the beginning with the Aussie one, so they made $63 or 6.3%. Then the EuroCAD, $41 or 4.1%, Swiss francs Japanese, $38, 3.8%, and Euro USD, $39 or 3.7%. Then finish off with the US Japanese, $36, 3.6%. And if you would have traded these top fives, you would have made $214 or 4.3% for this particular week. So that is definitely low compared to what we are used to seeing, but it's still cashing in quite nicely. And if we go and have a look at the entire portfolio in here, we know that we have, at the moment, we have about 20 different EAs. You can see the balance has actually gone up nicely. Also look at how straight this curve is, because we have so many EAs that smoothen out the curve over time. But we also have a floating profit at loss at the moment, which is quite high on these EAs. And this is again down to the Swiss franc at the moment. That is on quite a move. So unfortunately, this is down by almost 10,000. Close profit, of course, is 16, so we are still in the plus, and then plenty of free margins in here. Total return 8.6, 1.4. Again, these was all set up for the FTMO on a $10,000 account each, but you can easily go and trade them on a $1,000 account if that's what you want instead. Put a portfolio together for that. We have plenty of history, 272 days now, so it looks pretty okay. And a quick look into the floating profit and loss. You can see what we had in the past. So this was about 1,500, then it jumped up to about 3,000. Again, maybe 3.5 around here into 4. And then all of a sudden we have this huge part that we haven't seen any recent times at all. So quite a few times bigger than the biggest spikes that we had before, and they also seems to be longer lasting. So you can see that this actually goes quite far back when we started off with the Swiss francs, slightly but surely running away. 272 days and 14 trades, as we mentioned here before. Now all of these signals you can actually find on our website. You will see them individually, and when you click on these links, then you will also get to the FX Blue, and that will also give you a number, so you can copy all of these. As we said, there's 20 in here for the Wave Liberator at the moment, and obviously here you can pick and choose which one you want. Some doesn't want the Japanese yen, other ones might not after this want to trade the Swiss francs. So again, it's entirely up to you. You can put together your own portfolio as you wish. And having a look at the portfolio just on the graph again, we can see that this particular week the portfolio made $330, so it is below what we had before. We have to go back to the end of March, 317 here. From last time there was anything there, and there's another one in beginning of February, so it doesn't really happen that often that we end up with so little profit. RSI Liberator for week 20, also here, actually the top 5 EAs didn't do so well, but overall they did better. That means that everything is a bit more equal. Here you can see the Aussie CAD did $50 or 5%, Great British Pounds Japanese $45 or 4.5%, Aussie Swiss francs $33 or 3.3%, and then Euro USD $32 or 3.2%, and another one here, Euro Great British Pounds, also $32 or 3.2%. So overall, if you would have traded those RSI top EAs, so the top 5, you would have made $192 or 3.8%. So definitely very low. So let's have a look at the entire portfolio that now consists of 22. That's why you have the balances a lot higher in here. And we can see that the equity is a bit lower. So there's a floating profit and loss of minus 2,162 at the moment. So it did make 2,600 so far. Going down and having a look, monthly returns 1.1 or 0.3 in weekly returns. And if we take that over, again, this is a $10,000 accounts, each of them. And if you wanted to trade this on $1,000 accounts instead with the same settings, you would make around 11% or 3% on a weekly return. Trade wins is at 66%. And our history for this particular portfolio is 41 days. And over here you can see all the different currency pairs that are being traded. We're also going to have a look at the floating profit and loss on this one. And that has been pretty much under wraps most of the way, about 1,000 only. And then all of a sudden this is now also not maybe spiking as much as we have seen on some of the other EAs, but definitely also dropping at the moment, so with higher and higher drawdowns, but obviously not a problem at the moment. Further to this, we now have 22, as I just mentioned to you before. You can find them all on our website, so the links is also FX Blue when you click on those. The 6 new ones that we have in here, starting from Aussie CAD, Aussie Japanese Yen, New Zealand CAD, New Zealand Swiss francs, and then CAD Swiss francs and Great British Pounds Swiss francs in here. So these are some of the ones that you can hopefully very soon also find on the copy-link service. Right now we let them trade for a bit longer before we actually add them on there. They have to be at least a month old and obviously also show some decent results, because otherwise they will not be picked up by the Expert Forex copy-link service. So let's go and have a look at the entire portfolio. 0.3% weekly, 1.1 as we said on the monthly side, and then 41-day history. And we can see that this week was actually quite good for the entire portfolio. Yes, we have more EAs coming in, and that also made up for part of it with $408. So definitely very good return, and also very stable return over time. So we like the Wave and the RSI Liberator versions very much. And you can obviously find more also on these two. This is our portfolio opportunities, where you can go and have a look at some of the videos and the results that we have in here. And this will take you over to the PAMM accounts, where we also have both the Wave Liberator and the RSI Liberator going. And here you can find more details and information on the results and videos. You can go and have a look at the Black Bull PAMM accounts in here. There's also some download and setup instructions for this particular one. So if you are interested, obviously again, this is at your own risk, own discretion. So always make sure that you read everything that we have on our website, also before you start investing or trading with anything. Obviously, we also want to have a closer look at the Wave Liberator for this particular week. So this is the PAMM account. The weekly returns, again, this is the FX Blue in here. It's not really complete accurate. As you know, we had, and we have mentioned that many times now, about $60,000 came out of the account, and that's why we had this particular drop in here. Since then, it has been a bit more stable. There has been 1 or 2 taking money out. There's been other people putting in. And we can see that after that happened, that was end of April here, then things have been going okay. Last week, not so good of results, 2,781, very slow. This week has been better with 4,619. So good numbers going forward. And if we have a quick look also just for the MQL5 in here, then we had another look, because FX Blue doesn't really like the way people are taking money in and out. It gets confused. It also looked like MQL5 got a bit confused, because now say the month of April is at 11%, and last week when we presented the same part, it was standing at 18. So obviously again here something has happened, a small little change. Most probably the 11% is more accurate, so we know it's somewhere around 11-12%. And for the month of May, this now also looks a bit incorrect. We are definitely not up 18%. So it seems like both MQL5 and FX Blue get quite confused so on these particular numbers. Having a look also at the RSI Liberator, these are all negative numbers. Again, also here we had more than 10,000 being drawn out, and this was a lot smaller account than the Wave Liberator, which then turned all the positive numbers we have made up here in the beginning into red. History is only 31 days, and as you can see, it is clicking in nicely. We had some good weeks in the beginning. Then we had the withdrawal phase, which again, funny enough, shows up as a minus. Obviously, people took the profits out, or let's say the account closure, and that made a minus in here, but only for that particular investor. And then we can see since then, last week was very slow, $330. This week is a lot better for the RSI Liberator, 947, and is the biggest one we had so far. If we have a look also at the MQL5, we can see that there's been some growth also here. Again, looks a bit on the strange side. We can see that once the withdrawal was done phase, then everything looks pretty okay, going in the right direction. And you can see down here, that number looks a bit more accurate because we are halfway through May, and we now have about 7%. And where we are expecting to be every single month is somewhere around the 8 to 15%. So depending on how the market actually behaves. Now we also have a bit of videos. Alex has made one video this particular week here on 50 profitable strategies, and you can have a closer look at that video. We'll show you a bit about all the links that are in here. You can search them in different ways, and also for different type of robots. You can see the RSI and the Wave ones in here. You also have the profit retriever, and obviously you have the HDA. So you can go and have a look at that video. We'll make sure that that is link is in the description below. And we also promised you here just that the new pruning functions for the profit retrieval types of robots, again, that means most probably the profit retriever. We are not exactly sure. So take this with a grain of salt, but we believe for sure that the Liberator version, from what we understand from the videos here from Alex, saying that they will now be a bit delayed. So obviously exactly what is going on, we don't know. But we are patient enough to wait a couple of weeks or a month or whatever it takes. And then we'll get back to you also on how exactly some of this testing for the new pruning functions will work. We mentioned last time there will be 2 different ones. And that's what we had for you in this week's news report. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you a good idea of some of the EAs and what they're actually doing. You can obviously buy them yourselves and test it and see if you can get the same results as we do. Or you can always go in and have a look on the copy service and copy some of the signals that we have in there, or head over to the PAMM accounts and have a closer look to see if this is something for you. So until my next video, I hope to see you around. Bye bye.
I hope you enjoyed our news report. So please don't forget to like and add your comment below, as we would love to get your feedback. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to keep the notification bell turned on. That way, you will never miss any of our future videos. We hope to see you back on this channel very soon.